Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning. It's your boy Rudy here to come at you with the new podcast. I think I'm on podcast number 4. Um, this is a podcast where I talk about interesting things that I think are interesting on the internet, and I bring them to you with a little bit of light and discuss things mountain bike and some current events. My name is Rudy, and if you're new to the podcast, welcome. I'd like to start off by apologizing for not getting a podcast out for the past couple of weeks. I ended up getting that thing people were calling the coldvid. I don't know. It's like cold and COVID, like makes, I don't know. Here's the deal. I think it was just a cold, like a severe cold. Like I had some chest congestion, and at some point, I spent 3 days where I was like completely out of it. I felt really like had some body aches and pains on Monday, and then Tuesday I was like out, like congested, like just laid in bed. Wednesday, same thing. Thursday, same thing. Started getting a little bit better towards the end of the day, or I should say the end of the night. And by Friday, I was like on my feet, like back out in the garage doing bike stuff. I here we are a full 2 weeks basically since I first started getting those body sorenesses, right? And I still have some congestion, some like phlegm still kind of floating around in my nasal passages. Not bad, but that's kind of the reason why I wasn't able to try to put together a podcast. And I tried the night before I really started feeling the body soreness, and it just wasn't coming out good, and I didn't like the way it was going. So then I tried the next day whenever I had the body soreness, and I don't know, something happened. The files got corrupt or something like that, and I couldn't get it to work. So I think I got everything fixed and figured out now. So hopefully this is my last time trying to do the podcast from 2 weeks ago. So if I have to stop and drink more water than usual or clear my throat, I apologize. If I sound nasally, I apologize for that too. Might get some nose blows here. But I am well. So I got sick on that Monday, right? So 2 weeks ago Monday. I should look at the calendar, tell you guys exactly what it was. But 2 weeks ago Monday, and then by that Friday, like I said, I was feeling a lot better. Saturday, I really wasn't quite ready to ride, but Sunday, I knew some friends that were going out for a ride. So I met with those guys out at 512. And man, if you guys are in the San Antonio, Austin, San Marcos, like in this area, like 512, man, they are doing some really cool stuff. You're going to be able to go out there and see some features that they have at like some of the bigger bike park trails, like with lift access stuff. Excuse me. They have the jumps that are a little more kickier than like your standard mountain bike jumps, kind of half between like the BMX and mountain bike jumps. They have a kicker into a wall ride, into a step up onto a lily pad, down to a drop. That's really cool. One of the things that I have, I don't know if I should say a problem at, but definitely haven't had the opportunity to hit this feature a lot, but it is the some of them call like a bonus log, or I call them a cannon jump, and it's where you're going upwards on a wooden plank, right? But you're going upwards, and then it just drops off, into a transition. And a lot of them, they seem blind because you're going up, but then you're going to basically drop off of it at the end. If you guys watch any of the slopestyle competitions, they always have one of these features, and usually some of the bigger tricks come off of this feature. Anyways, they have a couple of those style of jumps on their trails. One's on Slingshot, and another one's on, oh man, I can't remember what it's called, but it's next to Mine Shaft. But they have some really, really cool features, and also they have like progressive jumps. They have like a green jump line and a blue jump line. They have a black and a double black jump line. Is it a black? Yeah, a black and a double black jump line. They have creek jumps. They have a progressive drop zone area where there's like a 6 inch to like I'm going to say a 2, maybe a 4 foot drop. And then they even feature this massive freaking drop that's like, I don't know, from the top to the bottom. I'll say it's probably 12 to 13 feet, 12, maybe 14 feet, at max 14 feet. Anyways, that thing looks gnarly. It's got a nice run up and a nice run out. So I did not do that yesterday. I have a problem doing some of those features like that are like bike parks. Like, yeah, I know they're kind of getting you ready, but I would rather hit them on the trail. Like, I'd rather have them like either in the middle of a trail to do, or have it be like entering into a trail. Kind of like I like to call it like price of admission, right? Like, if you're going to a bike park, some of the features to get onto the black or the double black, like some of those are pretty gnarly. Like, they're pretty advanced, and I like to call them the price of admission, because if you can't do these features, or you can't do this jump, or you can't do this drop, like, I feel like that's preparing you for what the rest of the trail is going to be. And if you can't do this, then you probably shouldn't be doing any of the rest of the black. I don't know. That's how I feel. So, for example, they had this jump at this 512 place. It's called 512 Free Ride. Check them out on Facebook, or on, if you look it up. Yeah, on Facebook, and 512 Free Ride, I think, on their Instagram. Excuse me. Anyways, there's this is it? I think it's a double black jump trail. It's got a creek gap at the end, and one of the jumps is it's a pretty kicky jump into like a step down, and I kept calling that the price of admission, because you can skip that one, and you can hit like the other 5 jumps that they have on there, they're all gap jumps. But I felt like myself, like, if I can't do this jump, like, I'm not going to do the other one. And my friend's like, oh, that's the last one that I figured out to do. I just kept skipping it, and I don't know, I just didn't want to do it that way. So I made sure that I mustered up all the skill to hit this jump before I would go into all the other ones, right? So that's what I did. I hit it like 3 times, I think. First time was like really bad. Second time was better, and then the third time was like a little bit better than the second one. Anyways, I felt a lot more comfortable with it, right? And then I decided to go on to the next jump, and man, I overshot it. I landed. It was not good. Give me just a second here, guys. I'm going to take just a quick break. All right. Am I back here? Back? Yeah. Okay. So, I hate doing that. I really try to get everything prepared and set up, so whenever when I sit down to do these, like, I just want to get through them, you know what I mean? Without any stops. So I get my water and my coffee and whatever else that I need close by, so I don't have to do that. But unfortunately, I had to do that there. But I hope this comes back pretty quick. So I was talking about, and that's the other thing, right? Like, if you stop and you forget where you're at or what you're doing. But I made point, because this is the first time I've ever done it, I made point to remember what I was talking about before I left you guys. So we were talking about being at 512 Free Ride, and I was on the Run 6-pack, and I was just telling you guys that I had made it over the first obstacle, which is the first jump, the price of admission, which is like a nice kicky jump into a step down landing, and then you roll up to this next jump. There's an A line and there's a B line, and I was going for the A line. It's the same type of jump, but it's just a little bit further. So of course you need a little bit more speed. In my case, I viewed that as needing a lot more speed, and I gave it the beans, and I jumped, and the way that I jumped and my timing came down, of course. It wasn't like a jump where you you flatten out, and you kind of land, like a lot of times, like you can kind of land a bottom or land a flat, with like both wheels. And it wasn't that kind of a jump. It's kind of the arcing jump where you hit it and it kind of kicks you up, you flatten out, and then you kind of nose down into the jump. And so I had that motion going. So it's almost like, so whenever I came over, I don't want to say I dead sailored, but it kind of gave me that motion where I started coming over and my nose was coming down, but I was way past I overshot it. I was way past the transition, so there was nothing for my front wheel to come down on. There wasn't a transition for my front wheel to come down on, so it was just straight impact on my front wheel. And of course, I'm already making that motion where the rear of my bike is coming over, you know what I mean? And usually you hit with your front wheel and you ride out smoothly, but man, it was a high speed crash. And handlebars turned to the right. I of course put my right forearm and arm out to brace the impact. Actually, I mean, that's what happened, but what I was trying to do was, a lot of people say, if you're going to come down on something, or you're going to eat shit, try to make sure you stay on the bike for as long as possible so that the bike takes the abrupt of the collision, right? And so that's what I did until my handlebars turned to the right, and I let go, of course, using my right hand to try to brace myself, because that's what you do, you know what I mean? Try to protect yourself. And I had elbow pads on, knee pads, had my full face helmet on. Like, I had pants on that day because it was a little chilly outside. Even though we got warmed up, I still kept my my pants on instead of throwing some shorts on. Anyways, ate shit. My forearm, my elbow pad scooted all the way up past my elbow, right? So I have these elbow pads that strap down maybe 2 inches from my wrist, right? So they come down pretty far. So they're supposed to protect that part. The exact part that I got injured at the worst. I got this freaking rub burn, if you guys are watching. I just showed you guys, but it's like fucking like 3 inches big, where I came down with my elbow, you know what I mean, to brace myself, and the elbow pad scooted all the way back up, stretched out, scooted all the way back, and instead of protecting my elbow, it just basically moved out of the way. Now, it might have taken some of the initial impact, but then it scooted immediately back, all the way back to where it wasn't protecting anything. And I got this huge freaking road rash, which, I mean, maybe it could have been worse. Maybe it could have been chunky soup. I don't know. But instead, I just got this gnarly freaking road rash and, a really sore forearm from it. But had my pad stayed in place, I wouldn't have gotten any cuts. Well, maybe on my side. I did get these little notches on my side. But they're minor. They're really minor. My pants ripped. Not bad. Probably like a 4-inch freaking cut. My phone was in that pocket too. And the phone was fine. Little bit of soreness on the outside of my right leg, kind of like a baseball slide area, and down towards my calf and shin area. But had that elbow pad stayed in place, like, I wouldn't have had like the injuries. I mean, they're pretty minimal anyways, but I would have had like next to nothing had that elbow pad stayed in place. And I guess the reason that I'm talking about this, or that I wanted to get to this point, is because protection, personal equipment that helps protect you, like, gives you a false sense of security in this case, like big time, right? The elbow pad that I had was the 100, it's 100 brand, and I really like the pads. They wear well. They're not super hot. I like the material that they use. On the outside where the elbow pad goes, not only is there like nice soft padding to help protect you, but there is also a harder outer shell too, right? That's there to protect you. But if it doesn't stay in place, like it's not going to protect you. Now, I've said this to a lot of my friends, and I played paintball for many years. I played at a pretty high level, and when you play paintball, when you play in tournaments, like you're fully padded, right? So knee pads, elbow pads for sure. Usually have some kind of little pad on your crotch, and then the pads that I wore actually had like hip pads for like sliding, because you do a lot of sliding and diving. Your elbow pads, this is the most important thing that I want to talk about. The elbow pads always had some kind of thumb ring on there, and that way whenever you went to go slide, that pad didn't slide up out of the way. And there's so much paintball equipment for protection that I think would cross transfer over to mountain biking, that I would really like to get with somebody and help do that, because this injury just sucks. Like it's just like I paid, whatever, $50 for these pads. I don't remember exactly what I paid for, but you pay good money for pads, and for them not to work when you need them the most is like it's just so frustrating. So now I'm riding more tentatively, so I went out for another bike ride yesterday to Reveille Peak, which they opened up a new line there, and they have a pretty big jump. They have a couple of different jump lines, and they're pretty high speed, and I'm just timid to ride, especially for the first, few rides of these jump lines or these trails, because, God, I don't want to freaking fall off my bike, eat shit, and reopen my wound, or, it's just a constant reminder of like, hey, you're riding, but you're actually injured. You know what I mean? Anyways, so because of that, what I really want to do is I want to help make better equipment, or I'd love to get with somebody that can help me design better equipment to help protect you, to help protect riders. Like, this sucks, man. Anyways, let's go back to 512 free ride, right? So got ate shit, got up, and I had friends that were there. I was there with a group of, I think there was 5 of us there. Total group of 5 of us. And we went to back to the cars real quick, had some water, washed off the dirt and stuff like that. Of course, took some pictures for the gram, and one of the guys had some wipes, so I grabbed the towels and like with the water and like cleaned it off really good. But it was probably 2 hours into our visit there, and I'm not ready to go home. Besides being a little sore, popped a couple of Tylenols that I had, because I knew that was gonna be a tough ride home, and cleaned my elbow pad up really good with water and and the towels, and I slid my elbow pad back on, man, and I continued to ride for another 4 hours. The main thing that I wanted to do there was to get this 6-pack jump line done. It was a black jump line, and none of the jumps are out of my skill level. Actually, nothing there is really out of my skill level. It's one of those things where you have the mental game, of course, with yourself, and I had plenty of those, and so it was just to get back on the horse and try to tackle this thing. And the main thing that I wanted to do while I was there was get the 6-pack jump line done, right? And so I just started back at it, and of course the first jump, I should go back. So there's a price of entry. There's a first jump, that's the lippy kicker into a step down, basically, run out. And then now whenever you're going into the trail, there's probably a good 50 feet of trail where you start to line yourself up for either the A line or the B line, or a mixture of both, whatever you want to do, right? So there's two jumps. The first jump that I ate shit on is the A line, and that's the one that I sent too deep. And then the other one, you know, we call it the B line, which is the same jump, the same trajectory. It's just shorter, okay? So I just decided that I was going to tackle all of B. Like, all I want to do was get all of the B line done so that I could say that I completed it. Now, just like the first jump, the last jump is the only jump that you have, and that's the creek jump. So it goes jump number 1, step up, or sorry, kicker into the step down. Second jump is a B, and it's just like a 15-foot gap jump. Second jump's a little bit shorter, so you actually have to brake check a little bit. I'm going to say it's probably more like a 10-foot jump, 11-foot jump, something like that. And on the next one, a little bit further, maybe like a 12 to 14-foot jump. Next one, same thing, 12 to 14-foot jump. Next one, 12 to 14-foot jump. And then the last one is the creek jump, and it's like a 15 to 18-foot jump, maybe it's a little bit longer. But jump 1 is your only option. Jump 2, you have you have A or B. Jump 2 or jump 3, A or B. Jump 4, A or B. Jump 5, A or B. Jump 6, this is why they call it 6-pack, is only one jump. You only have the A. That's it, right? So you have A jump going in and A jump going out. that is it. So, you know, I just started working my way up. Got the first one done, obviously. Second one, it took me a little bit to find the right speed. And then the next one, number 3 jump, is a little awkward, and you definitely have to brake check. But you land that nice and easy, and you don't have to pedal. You probably put a pedal in between, not a real hard one, to line yourself up for jump number 4. And if you land number 4, fine. Don't touch your brakes. You hit number 5, and then as soon as you land, you start putting as many pedal cranks as you in. In my case, it was like 2, like 1 okay pedal, and then like 1 like full on as hard as I could pedal, and then it's a jump. Like, it's just so fast and short that you don't have a lot of time to put in pedal cranks. So as soon as you come down off of that 5th jump, you just put the pedal to the metal, you know, put in as many pedal cranks as you can, and hit the jump like you normally would. So I was able to get that done, all of the B line. So this place has so many different trails and so many different features that I wasn't able to hit everything, and I could definitely go back and clean that up, you know, because yes, I did, you know, I did the jump number 2, I did, I don't know, probably 10 times. After I did jump number 3, I think I did that 3 or 4 times. But then after that, like, I just got really comfortable and I could feel it. So after I hit jump number 4, 5 came really easy. And then as soon as I got through with number 5, I went right back up and did a run completely through, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My buddy was down at the bottom. He was coaching me, you know, pushing me the whole time. And I hit 6. So once I got past number 3, like 4 and 5 were like just really easy to hit. Like, they were really, really comfortable. The trail speed just put you right at where you needed to be. So I can go back there to this 512 and, you know, clean that up, you know, make sure I feel nice and comfortable. But then I can start working on the A line, right? Doing all of the A line hits, which are, like I said, the jumps gives you the same trajectory. It's just that they're further out, so you're going to need a little bit more speed. And so I get to clean those up. But there are also other trails there that that we didn't even hit, that we kind of walked through, but we didn't hit. It's a really, really cool place. I just want wanted to talk to you guys real quick about that because it was fresh in my mind. Now, this is the part that I probably maybe I should have started with. I don't know. A couple weeks ago, of course, what's it called? Pink Bike Academy. They had their final episode number 10, right? And I'm just gonna jump right in, right? So it starts off with Emmett, and what they're doing is it's the second day of the 2-day enduro race. This is the finals. These the goalie and Christina are asking these guys questions, like serious questions, serious-ish questions, I should say, and trying to get their answers. And so the episode starts off with Emmett dropping in, and goalie mentions that he and Bradley had been neck and neck all season, and asked Emmett, why do you deserve this more than Bradley? And Emmett replied with basically that he's put in more time being prepared than Bradley. Things like with his diet and his nutrition, stretching, workouts, and stuff like that. Now, I think that's a great answer because, you know, everybody there has the same opportunities to the same nutrition, the same workouts. They have coaches there. I mean, they have their own bike mechanic there. You know what I mean? So this is going to give them the best opportunity they have, and this is going to play later on in the event. They all have the same opportunities with these coaches and mechanics and diets. Like they're all not eating the same thing, but they all have the opportunity to eat the same thing. Anyways, I think that's a great answer. And I think that Emmett sees that maybe Bradley has a bit more of the gifted talent on a bike, and maybe doesn't seem, or maybe he doesn't see the work that Bradley's put into it, and thinks that he's doing the little things, like he mentioned, better, rather than just having somebody come out with just straight talent and being able to compete at a high level. So I think he sees that he's more of a complete package and willing to put in the work with doing the little things, I think is what he's getting around to. Christina asks Emmett, what is the greatest takeaway from the experience of the Pink Bike Academy? And Emmett replied with that he recognizes, right, that there's a lot of good, fast riders out there, and that everyone is basically looking for the same opportunity to race for the same teams and get the same sponsors that he is trying to get. And with all that it's just a reminder that he needs to stay focused. Give me just a second here, guys. Sorry, wanted to blow my nose. Didn't want you guys to listen to that. So I think that was a good answer. I think that, that he recognizes that if he doesn't stay focused, that all this hard work and determination and time and effort that he's put in there, that he could possibly get beat by somebody like Bradley that just looks like he's more fluid, maybe a little bit more talented on the bike, and is also doing the right things that he's doing, you know what I mean? But he's just saying that he's showing that he has maybe a little bit better work ethic than what Bradley does. I don't know. Like, you just get to look into what the show wants you to see. You know what I mean? What they think is exciting or might put drama into it, but you don't actually get to see everything that goes on there. You know what I mean? So you can only take and try to decipher what these people are saying within their answers. So that's what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Just to let you guys know that's not necessarily what they are showing on the show, obviously, but just trying to decipher what they're talking about. Emmett mentioned that in the beginning of stage 4 that he thought that he had gotten another flat, which would have sucked, right? Because he's already like way behind the eight ball with getting the flat in the second one, or the stage number 2, and he's already trying like hell to make up time for that. But Emmett mentioned that he had this noise, and he thought that it was a flat, but turns out that it was just the drone flying behind him. And then they cut to it, which was pretty cool. They cut to it, what he's talking about, and you can hear. I thought the same thing. Like at first, for just a split second, for just that little second, it sounds like there's air coming out of his tire, and then the pitch changes of the drone or something, how it comes up over the hill or whatever it's following behind him, and then you know that's what it is, and you can feel the relief, or you can hear the relief in his voice. Moving on to who is the next rider? Laura. Laura drops into stage 4 and goalie ass. Okay. Give me a second here. Oh, we're rolling. Okay. Excuse me. Laura's dropping into stage 4, and goalie asks Laura what her weakness in mountain biking is. And again, this is a deciphering moment, because Laura is from Germany and she speaks pretty good English, but I think there's obviously some things that are kind of lost in translation with what she says. But this is again kind of me deciphering. Laura replied with that she knows what they are now, basically. Like maybe she didn't know in the beginning, but she definitely knows now. And she says that it's her mental strength was her weakness, which I don't think it's that. But she continues on saying that when she comes up to a challenge that she knew she wasn't good at, that she was able to overcome it while riding at the Pink Bike Academy. And I think like that statement there is like true, right? I think that Laura has gotten to be a better racer, a better complete bike rider while at the Pink Bike Academy. I think that she's gotten better throughout, and it's obvious, right? Because she's obviously has some skill because she's made it to the Final Four. But she's saying that she knew that there were some things that she wasn't good at, but she's able to overcome them at the Pink Bike Academy. And basically, throughout the weeks, like she says that she just has found a sweet spot between racing and pushing herself and trying to stay smooth, so that she doesn't push so hard in the race that she crashes. Because if you guys haven't been watching or didn't watch a lot of the episodes, I think Laura had a crash in just about every challenge that there was, and she had a crash in, I think, in stage 1 of this final here. But what did I write down here? Sorry, I lost my deal. Lost my train of thought. So from what I can see, it's the really steep fast sections that are tough for Laura to do. And obviously she's gotten better, and it's made her a better rider. But from all these crashes and being able to get up and complete them and then continue on and make it to the Final Four, like in the beginning, whenever she said that her mental toughness was a weakness, I don't really agree with that. But maybe, again, like I said, there's something that was kind of lost in translation. Moving on, Bradley's dropping into stage 4 as well. Christina asked Bradley what's been the most difficult part about being at the Pink Bike Academy. And Bradley said recovery, physically and mentally, because the challenges have been so intense. And, you want to be at the top of your game, right? So now, does that mean that what Emmett said about like dieting and stretching is being a full part of the package whenever it comes to recovering? Meaning that, you got to make sure you're eating the right things. You got to make sure that you're stretching before and after. You got to make sure that you're, still working out, because all of these things are going to play a big part in your physical and mental recovery, right? And like I said before, like everybody's got the same advantages whenever it comes to your recovery and your workouts and your dieting and your exercising and things like that. So is that what Emmett was talking about? And is Bradley like saying that, yeah, it's been tough because he's not eating the right things, or he's not stretching before and after, or he doesn't see him putting in the work in the gym? I don't know. But it could also just be that, he's coming from where this Kiwi overseas, right? So he's coming over to America, New Zealand. He's from New Zealand, I believe. And there's a lot of changes. There's a lot of different things, and a lot of different foods. The different. So I could see where that would be hard with recovery, like trying to figure out what he likes to eat or what he can eat versus what they have there. Maybe there's something there. Maybe he isn't versed in stretching or working out as often, or maybe he does things like at home, like with his normal everyday routine with like working, like actual physically working. He had mentioned something about hanging up the tool belt and being a full-time rider. So, maybe his job is more physical than, being in the gym and, doing that kind of work. It's hard to, like I said, just trying to decipher, excuse me, just trying to decipher what these guys are talking about and saying, you know what I mean? But again, they all have the same opportunities with with what they want to eat and how they want to train with the trainers and, get massages and stuff like that. Christina asked Bradley, what's his main takeaway from the experience? And Bradley basically said that, he didn't get the results, excuse me, that he didn't get the results that, in his last international race. So he's using Pink Bike Academy to rest or to reset, focus, and make sure that he's making clean runs down the trails. And to me, it sounds like if the Pink Bike Academy doesn't work out, that he's already got things that he's already got things that he's working on outside of Pink Bike Academy to help get him where he wants to be as far as like sponsors and teams to race with, right? But sponsors and teams and things to help with funding, right? So next thing, goalie, this was dumb. This was like, and I've been on the fence about goalie the whole time. I don't know goalie. I started recently watching his YouTube channel, and I'm kind of getting a feel for him a little bit. But before that, like I wasn't sure where goalie fit in all this anyways, right? But goalie asked this stupid question to Bradley of what mustache oil Bradley uses. And of course, I don't know, it just seems like goalie didn't have any real question for him. And goalie's been a fanboy of Bradley since day one. And I don't know. Bradley just smiles and says none. And goalie's reaction was even dumber than the question. He just, cuts to goalie slamming his pencil or whatever on the table and just saying, I never would have figured that out. Like, come, I could have done without that. Like, whatever. Moving on. I'm just gonna move on to Flo. Flo drops in. Christina asks what she's given up for the Pink Bike Academy opportunity, and I love Flo's answer, and she quickly says her life, and like that's what you should say. Like she's, I don't know, maybe not by far, but she's like my favorite contestant for sure on the Pink Bike Academy. Like she seems like the most well-rounded and like most deserving of it, I think. She continues to name off all the things that she's given up at the Pink Bike, and she starts off with like her studies, meaning that, she could be going to school, work, because in order for her to race, you have to have money. You can have the backing of your parents or your friends or your family. You can have these GoFundMe accounts, that'll help. But ultimately, you put in your own time and money. Your family, your friends, have help where they can. But ultimately, it's if if you've tried to play sports at any kind of a high level that's not professional, or that's professional without professional backing, like it's expensive. The travel alone is expensive enough. Not to mention hotels and your food and your fees, your dues for the race or whatever, your entry fees. Excuse me, I can't get over this. Something's in my throat. She continues on and says, her work and her family, she's given up that. She's given up her time. And she understands that if this doesn't work out for her, that she's given all this up for a failed attempt at winning Pink Bike Academy. And that this is an opportunity of a lifetime. And she also continues to explain that she's done all she can do to stay competitive, or as close as she can stay competitive at a professional level with her own funding, And it's not, and she also continues on and says that it's not about getting paid. It's more about having the support and backing of a team and sponsors to help propel you forward. And I mean, throughout this whole interview process that Gole and Christina are giving the contestants, like Flo's answers are just like spot on. Going back up here to Emmett. Emmett's dropping in. We're into stage 5 now. Excuse me. Emmett's dropping into stage 5. And Christina, I think, asked the question what his mountain bike weakness is. And he mentions at his mental health is his weakness. Now I understand from what he says, right, that it's been a tough couple of years for him. He's young. And just like Bradley, I think they're both 19 years old. Although Bradley looks a little bit older. But they're both 19 years old, I think. And he says that he graduated high school. He moved to the Pacific Northwest there. I think somewhere by Big White, the mountain, because they were, saying that he had kind of the home field advantage there. His parents had gotten a divorce, so I think he had to choose to move with one of the parents before he graduated high school. And, Bradley had mentioned something that he noticed, that it seems that Emmett gets rattled easy. I think it was the episode where they had the Impossible Climb Challenge. Excuse me. See, this is what I was talking about. Whenever I tried to do the podcast last week, even though I was feeling fine, I kept on having to stop because I would have these fits where I would get something in the back of my throat, or I'd feel like I was talking nasally, and God, it was just getting on my nerves, and it's starting to do it again. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm gonna pause here. Excuse me, blow my nose, clear my throat. We're back. So, dang it, where was I at? I was talking about Emmett and his weakness, and going through the things that he was, explaining why his mental health has been a weakness. Everybody goes through stuff, and he's young and he's going through those kind of things. I didn't see a lot of that other than the one time that Bradley had mentioned that he was a little rattled because he had gotten put behind the 8 ball on the Impossible Climb Challenge. And that also ultimately, Flo, I think, was the one that actually won that. And in the men, as far as the men go, Bradley took second. or I'm sorry, Emmett took second to Bradley. And I think that's really the only challenge that that Bradley won. Excuse me, man. There's all kinds of bodily noises coming out of me. I keep trying to clear my throat. That's not working. I blew my nose. I don't feel like I sound any better. And now I'm burping. I'm so sorry. So, with that being said, I don't know if that's, showing his weakness is his mental health or not. But that's what he says. Sorry, I was reading what I had noted here. But so if he gets rattled easily, right? It and they're asking him this on day 2 of the 2-day race. That means that he's at the point where he's already had the flat in day 1 of stage 2. So I think, he finished that out the best that he could, and he knows that he's behind the 8 ball on the second day by a very large margin, by like, I think over 2 minutes, that he has to come back and try to beat Bradley by. He sure seems to race and run. He's got a smile on his face, so I don't know if that's necessarily his weakness, but that's what he says. Moving on to Laura, right? No, wait. Where are we at here? That's Emmett. Yeah, moving on to Laura, dropping into stage 5. Christina asked her what she wants her legacy in mountain biking to be. And she says that she wants to be an inspiration for the beginner women mountain biker. And on the other hand, she wants to be known as a woman that didn't give up quite so easily or so early. Like I said, trying to decipher what she's saying here. And that you should always keep going, right? And that's exactly what she's really done, like this entire series. She's had some major crashes. One of them, at least one of them, leading to needing some medical help. She had to get some stitches in her elbow, and she's been racing and running and doing all the challenges with this. So, I mean, to me, mentally, like she's like the toughest contestant out there, and her mental toughness, her toughness alone should be an inspiration to all women mountain bikers, young and old, men and women, beginner or pro. Like I think that like that should be very inspiring to all. I guess that's all I had to say about Laura on stage 5 and her answers. Moving on to Bradley, stage 5. Christina asked Bradley how he wanted to be remembered in mountain biking. And Bradley's answer was just being a cool guy, being known for having lots of fun and getting stoked on bikes. I don't know. It just seemed like too simple. I wanted a little bit more. More of what like the other 2 contestants said. It just didn't sit well with me. I wanted to hear something like, I want to go out and win as much as I can for my team and my sponsors. I feel like being a cool guy and having lots of fun and being stoked on bikes is just a sublet for being a good person that races bikes. And like, that's going to shine through as you race. You know what I mean? Like if you have good race or bad race, like you're always going to be that cool guy. And I think that is going to be him probably, you know what I mean? But I just wanted to hear something more along, that fits with being somebody that wants to race and wants to race at a high level. You know what I mean? Wanting to be, go out and win as much as he can for his team and his sponsors. I don't know. Whatever. Christina asked him next, how can he be the best brand ambassador? And Bradley answered by sitting down and game planning and coming out with what he can do to help be the best brand ambassador. And again, I just wanted to hear something like, I want to use my social media to post videos of me training hard, maybe going back to my hometown and having a demo day with the with the with Orbea bikes, and just bringing recognition for his team and his sponsors, something along those lines. To just say, to come out with a plan or whatever. Like, it just sounds like he's relying more on somebody to tell him what to do, as to where this is the time where you need to start putting in responses on what you can do to help. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like I said, Bradley had, or Bradley just doesn't have very good answers for any of these interview questions, to be honest with you. That's how I feel. Goalie asked a good question. He asked the same thing that they asked Emmett. Bradley, since you and Emmett have been so close all season long, what have you done that makes you deserving of winning the Pink Bike Academy? And Bradley says that he thinks that things haven't gone his way, and that he's better at putting the things that haven't gone his way behind him better than Emmett has. And then he says that I guess that can happen to anyone. And it's like, man, come on. Either call somebody out or don't call somebody out. But don't don't give an example and then say, that can happen to anyone. You know what I mean? Either be a dick or don't. At some point, like, not everybody's going to like you. And if you're trying to get your point across, like, yeah, you might have to use an example and name drop somebody. Who cares? Own up to it. You know what I mean? And then it cuts to a clip of him washing out in stage 5 in a flat corner right before the finish, so everybody gets to see it. Anyways, moving on to Flo in stage 5, dropping in. Goalie asked the questions. What was her weakness in mountain biking? And Flo answers with such a professional answer, and just wears it all on her sleeve. She says that there's obviously some skills, and she's in need of tweaking some of those skills just right, and that maybe she's been held back a little bit from these skills, because when she first got into mountain bike racing, it was in the XC side of things, and that training was always more important than technique, right? Like, your physicality was more important than technique, because there's a lot less, I guess, features and jumps and things like that. And so obviously, like, Flo does great on the climbs, and getting from during the transitions, like, is probably really easy for her. But the downhill steep stuff, or maybe picking lines, or maybe holding corners a little bit better, a little bit longer, getting through them a little bit faster, like, that's where she's saying that she needs, like, help. You know what I mean? Like, where she needs to get the little tweak on her technique. And it's just, I think that's just a great answer. That I think Christina says it somewhere, like, it's easy enough to say, like, I'm the best, I don't have any weak spots, as to come out and just being honest and letting people know. Because whenever you get on a race team, or whenever you are at this level of trying to be a professional bike racer, like, your team, your coaches, like, they need to know that exact thing. Like, where do you feel like your weakness is, right? Because whenever you become more confident in those weaknesses, they're not weaknesses anymore, and you can move on to the next one. And that is going to make you a better rider, better racer, whenever it comes down to it, when it comes down to the end. You know what I mean? Trying to be professional, trying to race, and trying to win as many events as you can. And if you have the mindset and mentality that you don't need help in any area, and you have to wait to be shown either on video, it makes it more difficult. Like, I've seen this happen in high school. Whenever we're watching film of football games, uh, you try to critique somebody that has talent and speed, but their technique isn't where it needs to be. Um, they just they just can't take that constructive criticism, and then they're never going to be where they could be with a little bit more help and training in those areas, I guess. Moving on to stage 6 with Emmett. Christina asked Emmett if there's anything that he'd like to say, and Emmett looked confident and poised, and he just said that he's happy with his performance, and they cut to a sick clip of Emmett choosing a sick line choice and doing a really sick cutty into a right-hander at the end of Hubba Bubba. That was pretty cool. Emmett's fast. I mean, Emmett looks fast on a bike, and I think goalie said it. It seems like Bradley has more style and maybe a little bit more flow to him, and I think that maybe looks like he's a little bit more talented, a little bit more on the gifted, talented side than what Emmett is. But Emmett is just a pure cut, faster guy on a bike, I think. And it shows. I think that shows. Because it did show a clip, I think, of... it did show a clip of Bradley taking that same line. I think it showed a clip of everybody taking that same line, Flo included. And to watch Emmett do it was so much faster than what Bradley had taken it to. Anyways, Laura, stage 6. Laura, it starts off by showing Laura almost going OTB at the start of stage 6, but saved it. And you could hear in her voice that she knew it was close. Anyways, Christina mentioned that she had a lot of progression out of Laura, and then asked what has been her main takeaway from the Pink Bike Academy. And it was like at that moment that Laura knew that she wasn't cut out for international racing, and basically that she would want to focus on more of like the social media videos and photography. And she said that she wasn't going to stop racing, that she just wants to be more in control of what races she does. And I think, just being at the Pink Bike Academy, that it just shows that like these trails are like not only physically demanding, but they're tough, and trying to do them at race speed, on a black diamond course, like is hard to do, But I think personally, that that would just a little bit more help in critiquing that she could be as fast as Flo. And really, if you look at the times at the end, I mean, Laura wasn't, she wasn't minutes off of Flo's time. In some, I think on stage 2 of today's, or not, sorry, stage 5 of today's race, like Flo was only like tenths of a second off. Or, I'm sorry, Laura was only tenths of a seconds off from what time that Flo had put down. Now I don't know what happened, if Flo struggled on that section, or if she, there was something that was difficult for her to do, because we all have those. I think we all in bike racing and in sports in general, I think that depending on what you're doing, like everybody does something a little bit better, right? Like I feel like, for example, like whenever it comes to really fast, chunky sections of trail, like I have so much confidence. I can go over them so easily, with drops and jumps and things like that. Like I'm really confident in, but I'm not so confident in going into like chunky sections of berms and turns and stuff like that, where there's like those braking bumps that are in berms, like those I don't know. I don't do those very well, and I could use some tweaking on that, right? Anyways, I just think that, she figured out that she just isn't cut out for the international racing of things. Let's see, cutting over to Bradley on stage 6. Goalie asked Bradley what he's given up, or what he's willing to give up so far to be at the Pink Bike Academy. And from what Bradley said, he's raced on the international circuit, and much like Flo, I'd imagine, Bradley did get a little choked up, and I'm sure he's thinking of what it's taken up to this point. All the work and the money that he's saved up, maybe the help that he's gotten from his mom and his dad, because he said he's been in it for 3 years, right? So that's and if he's 19 now, so that's 17, 18, 19. So at 17, obviously you're not getting, you can work a little bit, but if you're racing at the same time, obviously you're getting a lot of help from your mom and your dad, right? And friends and family. And I think that's maybe, and to try to be at that high of a level, in the international circuit of racing, that you start to realize, you start to look back and you see all the hard work and money and time that not only you but everybody else has put in. And I think that's why Bradley may have gotten a little choked up there, because it's easy to say, that you've taken your shortcomings better than somebody else, but whenever you sit back and think about it, that's what'll get you choked up. You know what I mean? What it's actually done. And I think that there, whenever Bradley got choked up, I think that's what happened to him. Anyways, what did I write down here? Oh, so so with that, I think he's also has been using the Pink Bike Academy as a way to get noticed, which is smart. You know what I mean? It's something that you should take advantage of. So if this doesn't work out, you still want to be giving it your all. You know what I mean? You still, if you don't come in first, you damn sure better come in second. You know what I mean? Kind of deal. And he's already at this point in the top 4. Stage 6, Christina asked, or going on the Flo here. Stage 6, Christina asked Flo what she'd like to be remembered, and Flo she just has the best answer. She wants everyone to know that she does everything with great passion, and that she puts herself wholeheartedly into bike racing, and that's what she wants everyone to remember her to remember about her, and I think they will. I mean, I think it's sick. Like, I've been watching some of the YouTube videos. Goalie, and I guess that's how I got on Goalie's channels. Goalie did a video while running down with Flo. Christina did a video on her YouTube channel with Flo, or was it Pink Bike? No, I think it was their own channels. I have to go back and look. But so I think that's pretty cool, getting her name out there even more, with other people, so that they know what's going on. So looking at looking at the men's leaderboard, day 1 really hurt Emmett. Stage 2, he got that flat tire, added over 2 minutes of time. But on the first and the third, Emmett's time still wins. Well, it was still better than Bradley's time, better than everybody's time. Then on day 2, Emmett beats Bradley on all 3 stages. But of course, with Emmett having that flat in stage 2, Bradley was still able to hold a commanding lead through day 2. So I don't know if, without Bradley winning any of those stages, he didn't have to, because he knew he had this monstrous lead. So was Bradley ever able to beat Emmett whenever it comes to a race? I guess we'll never know. But what's nice to know is I think they're both probably going to be racing EWS. They're probably at the very least going to be racing in some of the same races this year. So I'm going to try to pay close attention, and because then they're still on the same stage again, and you get to see if Bradley is anywhere close to Emmett's speed. Looking at the women's leaderboard, It's no surprise. Flo's time on day one dominated Laura's on all stages except for stage two. That was it. Stage two, Laura was only like tenths of the seconds off from what Flo's time was. Then on day two, Flo again dominated the course. Laura crashed. Back to it for the third time here. So I was talking about the women's leaderboard. It's no surprise that Flo dominated day two. Laura, of course, crashes on stage four and just looks to finish the race. After knowing that all she needs to do is finish in one piece, it shows on her times. And being beat on stage five by like 17 seconds and on stage six by almost 30 seconds. So they cut to the podiums, right? They got all four contestants standing up there, and they're going to announce the runner-up, which Emmett ends up getting. And I knew at that point that if Emmett got that, because I mean Emmett had better answers than Bradley. Of course, Bradley technically won the enduro, but obviously with Emmett finishing all but the one that he got the flat on, it's obvious that Emmett's the faster guy. He also had the better answers in the interview, and he won more of the challenges throughout the entire season than what Bradley did. So I think Emmett was very deserving of the Pink Bike Academy runner-up. And with that, I had no doubt that Flo was going to be the ultimate winner of the Pink Bike Academy. And so, to no surprise, Flo did win the Pink Bike Academy. And it was pretty cool to see whenever Flo won it, and they cut to that picture of her by herself with the bottle of champagne, really just giving out a big woohoo of passion and then spraying the champagne all over. She knew that she had finally gotten, like, she's finally going to get her chance to race at a professional level with professional backing. And I can't say that I wouldn't have felt the same. A lot of passion would have came out of me, probably big old tears and things like that too. Who knows? So that's it for the Pink Bike Academy. I'm looking forward to the next season. I really enjoyed the first season. I enjoyed this season just as much, and I hope it would be cool if at some point they get to the point where either the season is a little bit longer or they can put more than one season into a year. Anyways, really enjoy watching a lot of what Pink Bike does. They're my favorite YouTube channel, and I think it would be really cool to be a part of that. So, moving on to the Pink Bike Awards, yearly awards. The one and only thing that I really wanted to talk about is the fact that Pink Bike has their awards that give out best bike of the year, not best trail bike of the year, not best downcountry, not best enduro, I mean, it's just the best bike of the year. And if you didn't know already, Pink Bike picked out the 2022 Norco Range, the same exact bike that I purchased almost 6 months ago now. And I absolutely love the bike. And I just want to let you guys know that, yes, this bike is a bit one-sided. Like, this bike demands the terrain, right? Like, it needs the big jumps. It needs the big drops. It needs the big, gnarliest, chunkiest stuff that you can throw at it. And it just eats it up. And if you guys didn't already know, the bike is heavy. It's a beast of a bike to climb. But it's also the best tool for the job when it comes to going down. Like, it just, for a bike that's got 170 millimeters of travel front and rear, 29er, I really feel like the only bike that's going to do what it does better is a downhill bike with a 12-speed cassette. So I'm happy that I ended up picking out the same bike months before it was announced that it was going to be, that it is Pink Bike's Bike of the Year. I think that's cool. I think that's really cool. And since this took a little bit longer than all of my other episodes to get through, because I wanted to talk about the stuff earlier on with the 512 and Revly Peak, I'm going to skip today's baller versus budget update, and I'm going to compile that with the with next week's. That's going to be like my big talk. I'm going to talk about basically the past 3 weeks on what they've done on the baller versus budget, and we're going to take a little bit deeper look into that. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope to hear you guys. I hope to have you guys back next Monday. Again, I'm going to try to be a little bit more consistent with putting these out every Monday, and yeah, make this a weekly thing. So peace out, guys. Go ride your bike.